douche, dude. Speaking of douches, guys, how are you doing? This is another installment of your favorite show, Tales from the Head, coming to you not live, but in your face. I can't talk. I'm a little flustered. The
It's okay, Coop.
I got a lot. There's a lot we got a lot on our plates right now.
We definitely have a lot on our plate, but just like we talked about maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, this is a good busy. I feel like, well, I mean, first off, Coop, you're a very busy person. You have your 9 to 5, and then of course the number one job in your resume, if you will, is you're a father. So you have to raise 2 boys and make sure your lovely wife Steph doesn't like lose her mind while raising these 2 boys. So that's
Yeah.
like your main thing. But then we also have this our we have the podcast is going on, and now we have 2 podcasts that we're working in. So the creative, artistic juices that we thrive for and that we want, they're getting used now.
Yeah.
So it is a lot of work, but at the same time, since I don't want to call ourselves artists, but we are definitely artists. We do our appreciates of art. We are creating, which is something that as musicians and artists we love to do. We love creating and just like bouncing off ideas and seeing our little baby grow.
Oh yeah. And it's growing. But it's
Yeah.
like sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I had more time in the day. And then you kind of start realizing, as you're getting busier, you start realizing where you want to throw those eggs. Like you're not always going to
Yeah.
keep them in the same baskets. Now you're starting to change up.
Yeah.
Because I don't
Yeah,
know,
man.
things are changing, man. Good way though. I'm happy, and I want
Yeah.
things to change. I want this to kind of be my more. I want these things to be more my main thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I can put a lot more
We're
work into it. It'll allow me to be where I need to be. And then I don't have to, at the end of the day, I don't want to work for someone else. Like, no one wants to do that. So,
it always it I always found it fascinating that these big time like actors and musicians, just off the top of my head, Kurt Cobain,
mhm.
saying like the fame and everything it got to him. That
Yeah.
fueled into his depression and his anxiety. But yet he was creating these songs. I don't know. Me as a musician, I always wanted, like, that's my dream. Not maybe to be Nirvana status, but like Kill Switch Engage status. That'll be awesome. Or like,
Yeah.
or maybe that's too generous. Maybe like every time
No,
I die.
either
Um,
way,
yeah,
goals are
like
goals.
I want to be successful, but I don't want to, be
I see
Michael
what you mean.
Jackson.
You don't want the
Yeah,
fame to ruin what you're doing.
exactly. So with Kurt, when him saying like, "Oh, I didn't want this," at the same time, like, well, you were writing these popular songs. Like, what did you expect?
I
So for
don't
me, it's
think.
like
Well, I don't think any band expects that. Like they blew
that's
up.
true.
But I don't think any band, even when they work hard, expect. I should say the good
Damn, that's
ones,
got
because I feel like the bands that expect it are never those bands. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because those guys are
yeah,
just doing what they do, and like in his defense, I see both sides, but I do kind of agree because I feel like I don't feel like everyone wants to be a rock star. I think sometimes that stuff just happens.
yeah.
I definitely
Some
don't
plan.
think Kurt Cobain ever wanted to be a rock star. And I'm not even the biggest Nirvana fan. I respect them a lot. I love Dave
Yeah,
Grohl and I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, but Nirvana, I just like, they kind of like out of Seattle, they weren't my favorite group. And, but like, dude, super influential, and, I don't know. I feel like, some bands just have chemistry and talent within that
hmm,
band and the circle, and they flourish with each other and thrive.
yeah,
And sometimes we get lucky to capture those moments, like musically. But I don't know. I don't always. If I feel like if everyone knew that they were going to be successful, then I think more people would have the key to success.
mm-hmm, yeah,
Because some of that is freak
yeah,
shit. You never know. Oops, flicked my pick at the
yeah.
screen.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, but to take it back to what we're working on in our projects, like we definitely, I don't know, I definitely want the podcast, like what we're doing in the projects that we're involved with, individually and collectively. Like I want him to take off, and
Yeah.
I mean, if I can, sit here and talk to people for the rest of my life and get, make a living out of it, that'll be awesome. Talk about all things, checking up on people, interviewing people, talking about soccer, talking about baseball, talking about
Well,
sports
and once
and
you get a name for
OJ.
yourself and all this COVID stuff gets figured out, then we can maybe get media passes and,
Oh yeah,
you know,
that's what I want.
maybe not
That's all I
media
want.
passes because I don't know. I don't know what the qualifications are. I don't know. How do you qualify as a media pass? Must be some working for some kind of respected publication, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Because
you need to
credential
have some.
wise, there's no real credential
Well,
really, right? That's enforceable.
there's not a credential thing anymore. It used to be like a credential back in the days, but now it's just there isn't really. But I think you need to have some sort of like backing or something, and
Yeah.
then like once, and you just you email like the media department or whatever,
Well, I feel like
and
yeah, I think you can't. You
they'll
know,
respond
like I don't
back to
think we
you.
could just be like a zine. You'd have to be probably like
Yeah,
somewhat of a good following of some sort of publication, or like you said, maybe a website, like fan
yeah.
pages type shit or something that if it gets enough clout. But I'm like, that's the thing. Like, if you get enough clout, that's all you need. You're influential. So yeah, I'm with it. That's cool too. I'm down to sell out. I'll do Pepsi commercials and shit.
I'm that's my life. I've been
I'll be like
dreaming that.
rookie of the
Are you
year with
kidding
Ray
me?
Charles, dude. I'm down.
Oh hell yeah. I'm there. What do you need me to sell? You want me to sell? I would prefer doing Coca Cola commercials than Pepsi, but whatever pays. But actually, I take that back. If I can do like Dr Pepper commercials, it's a sweet
Oh
thing.
yeah,
I'm
that
ready.
guy.
I'm ready,
Isn't
dude.
he supposed to be like
What
a
you want me?
Prince ripoff?
I think so. I think so. I just love that he'll sing like super. He'll be super
Smooth.
sexy voice.
Yeah.
And there's an episode like when like a woman's husband comes out and homeboy's like, "What's going on here?" And the guy goes in super deep ass voice like, "Oh, what's up, bro? I'm just giving
Oh
you
yeah.
Dr Peppers or something."
Not
Like
trying
he
to be
changed
all
his voice,
sexy
and I'm like,
anymore.
"Yeah, he wasn't sexy. He wasn't a sweet thing." Um, but
I
I'm ready
agree.
for that,
Dr.
dude.
Pepper. Yeah, Dr. Pepper's solid. Nice cold
Yeah,
Dr.
that's what I.
Pepper. Nice
Oh
DP.
yeah, I love that shit, dude. It has to be Dr Pepper, Coca Cola, and then maybe like Fanta or Sprite.
Dang, you're all on the Coke products.
I am, dude. It's the Mexican in me.
Well, I like Sprite, but I think I like Pepsi better
Than Sprite or than
or than
Coke.
Coke.
Eh,
But I like Coke better with like Jack Daniels.
I will tell you this though: when it comes down to the cherry flavor, Wild Cherry Pepsi
Oh yeah.
destroys the
Yeah,
cherry Coke.
I agree. I do agree. And I feel like most people I know prefer Coke, but I like Pepsi better.
Eh,
Just weird like that. Plus, you know what's funny? I think Pepsi's older.
maybe I wouldn't be
It's a
surprised.
trip. I looked it up once. I think Pepsi's the OG, which is kind of crazy to me. I thought Coke was the OG.
What the other thing I found interesting because of like, what's it called? Like the History Channel, the Pickers or whatever, American
Oh,
Pickers.
American Pickers,
They
yeah.
they found like a Pepsi tray from like the 1940s, like made of wood and stuff,
Hmm.
but it was red. It was like a red with the Pepsi logo, and they're like, "Is this legit?" And they're like, and one of the guys was like, "Yeah, this is real." The thing is, like, they used to just recycle like these crates, like for
Yeah.
so those just like
Oh,
slap, those just slap any color, and then
it's like a
so there
Coke.
is
It was a
like
Coke crate probably or something.
yeah, and then it will switch over to the Pepsi. And I think for the time, like Pepsi also used like um, the red backing rather than the blue one.
Dang.
Um, and so of course Coke, they went to like,
Brand
they lowered it
copywriting
up,
or
and
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and then they're like, all right, well, from you use blue, you use red, and
And
that's
then
how
it
the
was and then it was a
Norteños and the
gang
Sureños
war.
started.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly how it started.
A little blood was spilled.
A little blood here and there. It
Little
never
some of
hurt
the A
nobody.
Tray Crips got involved, you know. What are you gonna do?
Some of the
The Latin
Latin gals got
Kings?
involved. Yeah. Latin
With the
kings and
crowns on
shit,
the back of their neck? Yeah, I watched some gang
I'm
shit. Okay, whatever.
I'm pretty sure this is what NWA was talking about in their songs.
And they had a token white guy too.
Who was the token
I don't remember.
Yellow?
I think his name was like MC Yella or something. I don't even know. But
MC Yellow or MC Ren or something?
no, MC Ren was a black dude. But
Okay.
he wasn't one of the main ones. But he, if you pull up, I have their first record that was on Ruthless Records,
Mm-hmm.
and it has like a white dude with a Bud 40, and that's the other thing too. Everyone else is drinking like malt, and he's got like
Yeah.
Bud.
He's
This
like,
is funny.
I'm not ready. I'm not
Yeah.
ready to invert.
But I'm
I'm
like,
not
dude,
ready
but you're in your
to.
head, you're thinking like this white dude with the fedora and the white shirt. Like, how crazy is he to be chilling with all these fools?
Yeah.
Like, you already know he's the weirdest one.
Or he was the one with the money. No, because if they're in Ruthless, Easy E was with the money already.
Yeah, because that was what's his name's?
That was Easy's. Basically, he was selling drugs, and in order to like, that was like
Allegedly.
his laundering money. He invested. He created his record label called Ruthless to
He was
put
just
out
cleaning his
NWA
money.
records.
That's pretty
Yeah, so he
smart.
was
Clean
slinging.
your money with your own.
There you
Ridiculous.
go.
Dude's
There
like,
you go.
I don't know. What a trip. If only that guy wore condoms.
Or not shared needles.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was drugs. I think it was sex, right?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure it was sex. But
Yeah.
I like to give him the benefit of the doubt.
That he was double dipping
Yeah,
with his vices.
that he. It was that. It might have been gay sex. We don't know.
It could have been. It could have
We
been.
don't know. We're not here to judge for that. If
I'm
that's
not.
what you're,
You know, it
we're
doesn't
the
go.
plus.
It doesn't go with the typical image of the gangster lifestyle, but maybe it should.
Hey, why not?
You know, it's something to be ashamed of.
Like, I will be terrified if there's this, gangster who's an open member of the LGBT community, and nobody like fucks with him. Like, no, this guy, like, he's a killer.
You're like,
Like,
this guy.
yeah, he might have been bullied growing up, but he did something where people stop bullying him and they respect him and they don't even like question it.
Yeah,
Kind of like the character from The Wire.
he's like, this guy is the entire color spectrum.
Yeah, he's just this. He's ready for Hollywood. That's all I gotta say.
He's Rainbow fucking Randolph.
Rainbow fucking Randolph, homie. With that being said,
And that goes right into our segue of
yeah,
today's episode is brought to you by. No, today's episode's theme is a couple things, but mostly, what would you go if you could go back and write a letter to your 16-year-old self? What subject matters would you tackle? What warning signs? What advice? What would you maybe say to enjoy? All these things.
yeah.
I think are kind of like what I want to focus on. But yeah, I think for me, I would go back and tell my 16-year-old self, remind myself to not have sex like as much as I wanted to, because I got lucky and didn't knock a girl up that I didn't want to, because I know there's a lot of guys that get in that boat. So good move on being kind of a loser. So kind of stay a little bit of a loser. You don't want to be like, you don't want to be fucking Fabio and shit. I mean, come on, I'm glad my libido, or not my libido, my libido was fine. I'm glad my sex appeal was not at an all-time high. That helped.
That's good.
And then
More about the time. Good now.
I would say, because what inspired me was Stephen King's letter to himself. And see, he juggled.
Right.
He juggled. He dealt with a lot more addiction and issues with substance than me. So I still wouldn't tell my 16-year-old self not to do what I did, because I think doing those things was awesome. So still smoke weed and still get drunk. But don't. I didn't screw up that much when I was younger. So I didn't drive, and I didn't really drive drunk, so that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess what I would tell myself, since I more or less haven't come up with a single answer yet, I think I would tell myself to focus on what you like to do and really work at it. You know, like because the same things I liked back then are what I'm working on now, which is music, and my social, which is kind of like my communication with this podcast now too. Like we both kind of like are able to get out and use our voice to communicate, you know, with our friends, and it's kind of cool. I mean, the more I think about what we're doing now and what I, you know, where I was when I was 16, I'm kind of happy. You know, even though most of the time I would complain, man, I don't feel like I'm doing enough in life. Like in the last like 6 months, I really feel like I've finally been getting more of that feeling of certainty, at least with having a purpose and being
Mm-hmm.
busy and feeling like my work is in some way, shape, or form showing me kind of some reward, you know, for the time we're putting into the work, you know, and just watching how we've been getting better. So I guess
Yeah.
in a sense, I don't know. I don't think either of us have really fucked up too bad to the point where, I mean, we're here now and we're happy with what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm sure, you know, there's some key. I guess another thing would be is I didn't really bully anyone really in high school. I kind of got my shit together in high school, and mostly what I was doing was socially experimenting. I didn't really fuck up really much. I all my bullying too was in middle school. I didn't really have much bad shit. I think but maybe it would have changed if I went to James Lick because I did change high schools and kind of start over. So I think maybe that kind of helped me out, clean slating it. So I didn't really have much juicy stuff to change. Is there anything? What would you tell yourself?
Well, it's funny because we were just I was talking to this to one of my students earlier in the week, and yesterday when I was hanging out with my buddies from high school, like my we've been friends for like 21 plus years already. So,
Hmm.
you know, this is insane that these we still like we're adults, but the moment we all get in one room together and like the significant others are not there, we're back to being 14, 15-year olds, like
Oh yeah,
just acting the same way, doing the same shit like we used to do when we were like 14, 15, 16-year olds. Um, so we're reflecting a lot on like high school and like how insane like life has been. And I think two things I would tell myself if I can go back to myself, back to my 16-year-old self, is take your time. Take your time. Slow it down. Um, there's this song by the Ataris, and the lyrics go, and one of the lyrics it says, "You don't need a destination just to get somewhere in life."
hmm
And like I knew it when I was in high school, but now that I'm older, I'll tell myself to really take that to heart. Like, you know what? Like, just because you're not graduating San Jose State when you're 22 doesn't mean you failed.
right,
Like just keep going at it. Don't give up. Um, don't think that you have to be in a serious relationship with like the first people you start dating. With
right.
the first person. Like I'll tell myself that like just slow down, and stop caring what people think about you.
Yeah, that's true.
And and when your buddy Billy comes up to you when you're 18, your buddy Billy from Hollister is gonna come up to you're gonna be playing computer games like at 2 or 3 in the morning with like a room full of 10 other guys drinking not Dr. Pepper, but like Dr. Thunder, like
Yeah, the Walmart
like
one. Yeah, the
either
Safeway
the
one.
Walmart or the Safeway knockoff one.
Yeah,
You're gonna be all night playing, smoking cigarettes
Doctor
and like
Thunder.
drinking Dr. Thunder. And your buddy's gonna come up to you, is gonna come up saying how he just read an article about this new thing called Bitcoin and how it's a $1 per $1 exchange rate. And you're gonna say, "Oh, that's fucking dumb. Who the fuck will buy that?" Invest, buy at least $100 worth of Bitcoin. You have it.
Yeah,
Don't waste it on beer. Don't waste it on cigarettes. You have the $100. Buy the Bitcoins. Save the password for like, save it. Don't fucking lose it. Save it, stick it up your ass, whatever. You just save it. And then in the year 2020 or 2021, sell it. You'll be happy.
Yeah,
Or
all
like
you
you
need.
wouldn't be happy, but you'll be financially stable.
If only you had an almanac to go back in time.
Ah, that fucking Marty McFly.
Fucking yeah, I just wouldn't that be nice? Just get the money without the fame. We even said that earlier. You're just like, give me,
Yeah,
the fame is what screws it all up.
yeah. I'm ready for
I
it
just
though.
need the ones in. I just need the decimals. I want a couple decimals in my bank account.
Yeah, in the right place, in the right
Yeah.
location. Yeah,
Um. But I thought that I really liked I was kind of going online and I've been on the Stephen King kick for a while and
yeah.
I thought it was interesting because he did dabble with a lot of drugs, alcohol, and
Mm-hmm.
depression throughout the years. And he literally in his letter said, there's a good 10 years between 30 and 40 where you're just gonna ruin a lot of relationships, not enjoy your success, and not value what you're doing. And like you said, slow down, enjoy, really take time to appreciate what's going on. And then the other thing that I kind of thought of too was, um, I just had a freaking brain fart. That's great. But yeah, I think slowing down is important. That's it too. We need to like lower our expectations with others. I feel like,
Yeah,
especially myself included, when I was younger, I always did kind of like I never gave anything and with an expectation to get anything back. But I feel like what I did do was when I would give my time to other people, I would have an expectation that they would want to give their time to me,
yeah,
or that my time was as important. Like Gary V, I follow him and he's like super pretty inspirational. A lot of people follow him. He's kind of like our Tony Robbins for this generation, but I feel like he brought up a good point with it because he's like, we shouldn't have expectations when you do something. He's like, the minute you lend someone money, you should just assume that money's gone.
yeah,
Unless it's an agreed upon situation where you're loaning someone cash or, whatever. But, I like that because then when you don't have these expectations, it's not that you have no expectations at all and you have no standards. What it means is basically you're acting on your own will and, you're doing things because you want to do them, not because you expect to get something back, which is, first of all, kind of a dumb, it's kind of childish to do things just so you can get something. I mean, it is strategy maybe with business, but for as far as relationships go, it's definitely not what you
yeah.
want to be doing, you know?
No, and it's funny because that's one thing I talked about. I talked about yesterday also when I was hanging out with my buddies. We were saying I was telling them that well, they were asking me like, Danny, you did this trip almost a year ago in February where you did like a solo trip to SoCal
Mm-hmm.
on your own, and I told him, yeah, the reason I did it because when I was going to therapy and I was writing journaling and all this stuff, my because yeah, I started therapy like a year ago, like in January of last year. I started going therapy, started going to anxiety classes and meditation classes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it, is reflecting and journaling and reflecting some more. And one thing I came to a conclusion was that my happiness depended on somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not that I was trying to be a people pleaser or anything, but like I found my own happiness or my own validation of happiness based on other people wanting me to be around or something, and or like
Right.
I only was happy if if like people around me were happy, and like they want like kind of like you just said like I'll invest my energy and I wanted them to invest the energy in
Right.
me also. So like I was always afraid to do anything by myself because stigma. I didn't want to feel like, oh, I wanted there to be with me the whole time so I can be at least I can feel comfortable and and happy. So I'm like, all right, I did this trip. If at any moment it becomes overpowering, I can always just come back. It's only LA,
Yeah.
6
It's
hour
not that
drive.
far.
Like, yeah, so I'm like, all right. I drove down. I think the first night I hanged out with Daryl, with our buddy Daryl,
Nice.
and I told him like, "Hey, dude, is it cool if I crash in your house just in case if like I start panicking?" He goes, "Yeah, dude, of course." Um, I didn't. I went in. I got my own hotel room, so I was, I was okay. Like that night,
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Wasn't the first time sleeping by myself in a hotel, but I was like, okay, whatever. Next day, I went to Disneyland on my own. I ran into my friend. She was down there from San Jose also with her family, so we hanged out for like maybe half an hour
Yeah.
tops. And then I kind of did my stuff on my own, and it at first it was a little bit like it was definitely out of my comfort zone,
Yeah.
but it wasn't super. The place wasn't so unfamiliar to me. I was like able to do enjoy because it was something familiar to me. Disneyland. I've been
Right.
there plenty of times and stuff, but I was just on my own, and it was just like at first very like weird. Towards the end of the experiment, if you will, it didn't feel so weird. It was just like it was like all right, like this is
Yeah.
not so bad.
Yeah. Kind of like the
It's not so
first time
bad.
you go out for a drive on your own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then after a while, you're like, dude, I prefer going on drives on my own. I
Yeah.
can listen to my music, and no one has, nothing bothers me. So,
That is pretty cool though.
um,
You could literally do whatever the fuck you want to do when you're by yourself.
yeah. And it was very, and like, I think that was, it's interesting that you said, like, don't put your energy so much on people and expect that same energy come back. Because
Yeah.
in a way, I was kind of, same thing with me. Like, I was expecting, it was like a trade off just because I want it and I'm trying to show how much I want it doesn't mean the other person's also gonna have the same.
Right.
Because you can't at the end of the day you can't control what the other person thinks. You can't you can't spend your time or energy trying to convince somebody else to feel or see things your way.
Right.
It's not it's not gonna happen
No.
no matter unless that person really wants to make that change for themselves.
Well, and I was thinking too today, like on the drive to work, I was thinking, like what a blessing it is to find out you're the reason things aren't right, or you're the one screwing up. And the reason I say that is because if when you know it's your fault, it's easiest because you're in control of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
and what's easier than when you know it's something you fucked up. And I think that that's the approach I need to take, is understanding that it's not so much focusing on the shame of the mistake, but focusing on the fact that I can fix the mistake, instead of it being like, oh, this problem is someone else's like deep seated issue. Like I can't
Yeah.
fix that now. They need to fix it.
Yeah.
So I think what I need to do is just be more appreciative and realistic with what's going on with my life, which is if we fuck up, learn from it, move past it, and treat it as an experiment and not as a failure.
Yeah.
Because you're always gonna how many scientists, I mean, how many failed experiments do successful scientists do? Like a lot. So I feel like we kind of got to treat it like that. It's an experiment. It's not always like this like official thing that we screwed up on. But
And that's like when you start reading like motivational quotes and shit like that. That's like that quote always comes up like, in order to succeed, you need to learn how to fail.
right.
You need to bounce back and stuff. And it's funny you say how you're making a point about doing things like your own term, like if you realize you fucked up, like you like to make that decision and make that change or
Mm-hmm.
something. With me, like when I knew I messed up and I knew the outcome of that situation wasn't going to be in my favor,
Right.
I will give up. I'll quit. Because in my mind, it makes sense to me. Obviously, it's not the right way, but I much rather quit. And then it was, I didn't succeed in this because I chose not to do it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
did because it was my own decision, rather than like get really, really trying and then failing. Because
Right.
I don't think I can handle that. Like I try my best, and my best wasn't even good enough for that. For me, that's like devastating.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah. So,
Failure's
and that
hard.
explains a lot for my
Yeah.
college, dude. That explains so much for my college. Like I will screw up. Like I wouldn't turn in like maybe an assignment or two because I was like whatever.
Hmm.
And then, I know that my grade will dip, and rather than, oh, let me make this up, or let me talk to like,
Yeah.
my professor, I'll be like, nope, I quit. I'm just gonna drop out. You
Yeah.
know, I'll just, I'll try again in the year. So
Yeah.
that
And
was
then,
kind of,
yeah. And you know how that is. So that's good that you don't try and do that anymore, you know?
yeah.
Um, the other thing I wanted to go into, which is we both kind of watched, like, when did this come out? Like 2 years ago? The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix?
Yeah, it's like we're in 2021 now, so almost
Maybe
3 years,
three?
I guess.
Yeah. Um, I'm super into ghosts. I know you're super into ghosts.
Absolutely.
The whole supernatural vibe and just horror and all that stuff I'm super into. But the thing I really liked about this interesting article I found was how they tied in the Haunting of Hill House as a metaphor for mental health.
Hmm.
And it's pretty uncanny, and it definitely makes you think, like, is the premise for almost all of these somewhat, I mean, not 100% a metaphor, but I'm sure part of it is, a lot of writers use their metaphors as language for characters, traumatic
Yeah.
parts of the story that aren't necessarily directly, translated. Some of these things could be translated in a more of a fantastical metaphor way in writing. So that's kind of interesting too, like, then you kind of connect the dots, because I didn't think of it that way. I kind of took it as more like the story and more of a literal way, and wow, I'm like, wow, that's pretty deep,
Yeah.
because it does
Yeah.
make sense. The ghosts are like your demons, and the house is
Hmm.
like your head and your mind,
Yeah.
and all the things that are going on inside your house is all the bullshit that's cluttering your mind, and
Yeah.
right. So I thought that was like pretty dope and deep. Um, as far as that goes. And it's just like, yeah, how does anyone, how do you fix a haunted house? Like, right, you got to break the curse or
Yeah.
somehow lift the spirits out of there. So it's like, I guess that's the way you do it. Lift the spirits, have us not be so down on things. And maybe
Hmm.
that's the way we can kind of exercise some of those bad spirits out of our minds ourselves.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love the series, The Haunting on Hill House. Same like you. Like, I'm a fan of anything horror. I'm a fan of every, we talked about Richard Ramirez last time, and we
Hmm.
always talk about scary movies and
Yeah.
supernatural. I love that shit. Now it's fun when shit happens to you, supernatural shit happens to you in real
Yeah. It's
life,
a little scary.
but seeing it from like an outside perspective, like it's pretty awesome. And yeah, that move, like, at first I saw the show because I've seen it like 2 or 3 times. The first time I saw it, I just took it for what it is, like the scary movie or whatever, the scary thing.
Hmm.
And then I saw it again because I know there's like Easter eggs with like several different ghosts in the background. I'm like, oh, I gotta see it again to,
Yeah.
pick that up. Um, but now after reading that article and and hearing your interpretation of the article and the connection, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense because in a way, the actual house, the Hill House, is where all these bad things are going on,
Right.
and the more you're in that house, the more intense these sightings and the more intense things are, and the more you further away you are from it, nothing really happens. Kind of like
Right.
it. It's funny. We were talking about Stephen King. I just
Hmm.
finished seeing it, the second chapter, last weekend. Actually, I
Yeah.
saw it for the first time, and in the way that's what happened. Like they're in that when they're in the town, they start getting the memory of the monster of
Yeah.
Pennywise and all the shit. And the further away they are from that town, everything's like a blur. They forget where they from. They forget
Yeah.
that time. So with that being said, like, yeah, the house is definitely in your brain, and the more time you stay in it and picking on it, the more um you don't see things much clearer. You see
Yeah.
things that solidified what you're going through. So like, you know, the movie touches upon suicide, and the mom being schizophrenia and like see, the whole like the all the children are experiencing one thing or the other. Like
Yeah.
like going inside his room and they're like, no, that room never existed. That was something else, or like, oh, the girl in the blue dress. I'm like, no, that's not, that's just a made up friend,
Right.
who was actually the realest person there. It's just so many different things. And like the more I was reading about it, the one of the family or one of the kids didn't even want to have kids because he was afraid of passing on this
Oh,
disease.
the
And
brother, yeah. The
yeah,
older
the dad
brother.
talking, the dad talking to himself all the time, which was actually like the ghost of the mom, if you will.
Right.
All these different, like, even like the sister who pretended to have her shit together with the funeral home, like she still had her own demons or her own ghosts haunting her,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for because it was things that she couldn't be honest, for herself. Um, so I don't know. I think it's just
It's very
I
relatable.
feel like it's a good series, and yeah, and going back, if you step it out and you see like the the reason that one of the characters got into drug addiction is because his own, his mind, his own head, and putting so much dependency or so much trust on people who and turn around and fuck them over,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So
Well, and
it's
then
very relatable.
and a lot of the shit that happened to them and the family, they were young, and that's obviously, damaging to a
Mm-hmm.
young mind when all these traumatic things can happen, especially when they're
Yeah.
unexplained, when they're like supernatural. How do you cope with something you don't understand? That's hard, you know.
Yeah.
So that's
No.
the thing. It's like, man, how do you? I've luckily never had to deal with a haunted house. It's bad enough I got problems in my own head, but man, I'm glad
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with a haunted house, dude.
We'll save this for another episode, but there's been maybe three accounts of like four accounts maybe of like things I cannot explain.
Oh, in your
And
current house?
not in my current, only one of them happened in my current house,
Oh,
but
you
it
mean
wasn't
just in
in,
general?
yeah, just in general. I did have one thing happen in my current house, but it wasn't inside, it was like in the backyard, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if, do we have like, should we say it for another episode? Do you have like a quick 5 minutes so I can explain what
Yeah,
happened?
go for it.
So my dog sleeps with me. He's, I guess, my emotional support dog.
Hmm.
And middle of the night he wakes up, he wants to go outside, drink some water, take a piss, whatever.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, fuck, let me open the door. So I open the door. Usually what I do is just like I open the door, he goes outside, and I leave the back door just a little bit open. So when he's done, he just pushes in the door.
Hmm.
Go in, I close it. We see each other in my room. We go back to sleep. Quit, I go take a piss, whatever. And so I remember I'm opening the um I'm opening the back door. I look at my stove clock and I see it is 3:01. And
Hmm.
so if you're into the
Oh yeah,
supernatural,
the
you know that
witching
3 in the
hour.
morning, yeah, it's the witching hour. It's the devil hour, if you will.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh fuck, 3 o'clock. I don't think much of it. I turn on my light from my backyard and I open the back door. My dog goes in and he starts drinking water. And as I'm about to close the door so I can go and take a piss, from like around the corner from the porch patio thing I have in
Hmm.
my backyard, I hear a voice. I hear a female voice, clear, clear cut voice, but it's very faint voice. And I hear this voice coming from this general like direction out of my like, because as soon as you open my door, I have a outdoor fridge, so that was
Hmm.
blocking whatever's like, so I couldn't really see what was over there. So from this part, and I hear like a very light voice, and it just goes, "Hi." Like I hear it say "Hi," clear as fucking day. And as soon as I hear it, like my dog who was drinking water, like the back of his hair just like goes up and he starts growling.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I fucking heard something. Obviously, my dog just heard something.
Hmm.
So I went ahead and turned on the lights to my, for my whole backyard. I'm like, who the fuck is back there? So I go and I hear in general direction when I hear, the sound, expecting to see somebody so I can be like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
But there's no one.
Oh.
There's no one. And then that's when I'm like, what the fuck? So that's like when I turn off the lights and I went inside and I left like just my patio, like the patio door light on, expecting to see what the fuck could happen, and then like nothing came out, and then I'm like, all right, fuck this, I'm going back to sleep. So I turned off the lights, I went back to sleep. Um, I told my parents like the next day. I I I wasn't afraid. Like inside my house, like I'm pretty spiritual person. My mom, so is my mom.
Yeah.
Is a very spiritual person. So, and not in a religious form.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I think I as I went back to sleep, I lit up like an incident that had like some sage or something. So I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, if there's and like I left the door a little bit, my window door a little bit open. So I'm like, okay, if something's evil is following me, the sage is gonna clear it. It's
You're
gonna
right.
sense it out, and I went back to sleep. But yeah, like I still remember hearing that, like a very faint female voice saying hi,
Oof.
and
It
and that was just
terrifies
like,
me.
and the thing that's creepy, it wasn't like super loud. It was very faint,
Like it
like
was
if the wind
close.
was carrying it. Yeah. And just like as soon as I heard it, I got a reaction to it, and so did my
Yeah.
dog. So that meant
So
my dog also hear it,
some people
heard it or
believe
sensed it.
some people believe that some people believe they see what's the word? Some people believe that like all the stuff is all taking place right now here. We just don't see everything because we don't
Yeah.
have like the ability to see it, or we unlearned that skill, right?
Kind of like what the Sixth Sense and what the
Kind of,
others kind of
because they
hint to
kind of
that.
say
Yeah.
like you ever hear that they say babies, like I've caught my kid staring at a corner and laughing and
Yeah.
talking to nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
when I say kid, I mean my baby. So
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
only knows what he's looking at. He could just be, I mean, chances are he's not hallucinating. So that's what
Yeah.
creeps you out. You're like, what the hell are kids? Because kids do some stuff that kind of
Yeah.
spooks you, and like you never know. I mean, I grew up in a family where, like, most of my family doesn't think it's crazy, so it wasn't like hard for me to accept the unknown stuff. Um, I'm still really creeped out by it, but I think it's also because I'm fascinated by it. I love
Yeah.
horror in a fantastical, like, fictional sense, but in real life, it's like one of the most scary, terrible
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah.
I hate being scared. I love being scared, but in a real life setting, like when you were explaining the story, I was getting scared.
Yeah.
Because
It.
that shit freaks me out. Like the whole like surprise thing.
Yeah. And what I realize is that when things are happening at the moment, you don't realize until your rational thinking kind of kicks in, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, process of elimination. You're like, wait, what the fuck was that? And then you kind of like creeped out, because like
Right.
when I heard that voice, I'm like, what the fuck? There's a crackhead, in
Well,
my
that's scary
backyard.
too, right?
Yeah, so I'm like, what the fuck? And then when I realized there's nothing there, I'm like,
Well,
wait,
the other
why
thing
the
that's
fuck do I hear
creepy
a
is
voice?
like, why would it ever be a situation where they would just go hi?
Yeah,
3 in the morning, you ain't saying
like
hi to nobody. And if
like
you're
if
in
you're
someone's
freaking
backyard, you're
hiding.
gonna be like, "Hey, can you help me?" Or like, you're not just gonna say hi. That's what's
No,
freaky,
fuck that.
and that's why I think maybe it was a
Yeah.
ghost, and they're just
Uh
chilling,
huh.
and they just said, "Oh, hey, I see you too. What's up?" I don't know. I have
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
explanation, dude. But it's a super like
Yeah.
the thing I like to think is it doesn't necessarily mean that the spirit was a bad spirit. So that's kind of the good thing is like,
Hmm.
although it freaks us out, startles us, and takes us, for a loop, and we might not sleep as well. At least it's like, it wasn't some malicious kind of thing. It was literally just something that spooked you and was a little surprising. Which it's still at three
Yeah.
in the morning. It doesn't take much to spook me at 3 in the morning. Like I used to wake up on the couch at 3 in the morning. I'm like, I'd get stoned and I'd fall asleep at like 9:30, 10 on the couch, and then I'd wake up at 3, and I hated it because I am a little superstitious, but not really. But I mean,
Yeah.
like that hour still kind of
Yeah.
gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
I always try and go to bed. It's weird how 3 just feels like a weird time. It's just I
What
don't
a
know.
number.
Yeah.
And I mean, to tie it back to like um to the article that we're referring to, it's like, yeah, it, how much is it reality? How much is it things that are supernatural, and how much is it just all in our heads?
Yeah,
Our minds
exactly.
play tricks on us, and because no one can get to ourselves like our own heads. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That was always for me, that the whole supernatural experience was always, that one was the most recent one, but like I definitely have had several experiences, with other people in it. Like
Yeah.
was unexplainable. Like on another episode, I'll you might have heard the stories. This one time, how Juan and I, we got scared at a Jack in the Box, at a Burger King. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
not Burger King, McDonald's.
Yeah.
The McDonald's right there on, if you're familiar with your San Jose streets, on
Jackson
Jackson and
Capital.
Alum, no, McKee. Jackson
Oh, you're
and
talking about the
McKee.
one by the Coles.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
that
about.
one, right next to the 680 or whatever.
Mhm.
Like Juan and I, we had an experience there once.
What
Not fun.
happened?
You ready? Okay, so um, my family's in Mexico, and Juan and I we stayed because we were going to school, whatever. I'm like in my early 20s. Juan is maybe going to Independence, maybe not. Maybe he's just finished
Yeah.
high school or whatever. So, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're like, dude, let's go get something to eat. We're hungry. So we go to McDonald's. We go to the McDonald's by my house right here off Capitol and Story.
Mhm.
And the line was just ridiculous. And we're like, fuck this. We're not going to wait half an hour in the drive through because we're Americans.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, let's go to the one on Coles. Like, we'll swing by it. If there's somebody there, we'll just, cool. If not, then, whatever, we'll get Taco Bell or Jack in the Box or something.
Right.
So we get there, and the lights and everything are on. There's no one in the drive-through, and this is before like they remodeled. So
Right.
we pull up to the drive-through, hell yeah, and we go in there. Somebody comes up and like, hey, welcome to McDonald's, can take your order, or whatever they say.
Mhm.
And so, Juan and I, we placed our order, and even came up on the on the screen. It
Right.
came up, the total and everything. We're like, all right, cool. Pull up to the first window. Like, pull up to the first window. Pull up to the first window, and we're there for like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and no one shows up.
Mhm.
And we're like, and it was dark, and we're like, well, maybe they meant the other window, because like obviously, why would they have
Yeah.
two windows right now, like in the night? So we pulled up to that window, and same, like we're waiting for like a couple of minutes, waiting for somebody to come up, to take our card or take,
You don't see
somebody can
anybody
charge
either
us.
though, right?
No, not yet,
Yeah.
not yet. And then Juan and I, we started making comment like, dude, why is it fucking taking forever? There's like nobody here.
Right.
And then as soon as we said that, like it was like House on Haunted Hill, and I'm getting goosebumps right now. Like everything came to perspective. I'm legit getting goosebumps as I'm telling
Yeah.
this, because we realized McDonald's had no lights on. It was completely
God, now I
turned
got
off.
goosebumps.
The chairs were on top of the table. There was
Oh,
no
you're giving me
lights. It was
goosebumps.
it was it was turned off.
Mhm.
It was turned off, and then we noticed, like, how they have like their hours.
Yeah.
They closed that day like at 11, and it was like 1 in the morning when we went there, and they were closed
Weird.
for like 2 hours. So once we realized that, Juan and I were like, fuck this, let's get the fuck out of here. And
Yeah.
we fucking drove off, and we're like, what the fuck? And we're like,
Yeah.
no, dude, somebody definitely took our order. Like, somebody said, like, the lights were
Oof.
definitely on when we pulled up. The drive-through lights were on. You know,
Yeah.
somebody took our order. They read it back to us. We read in the prompt, and then once we pulled up, it was closed. And we're like, I don't know. It was just fucking like,
Yeah, that's super creepy.
and it's not until we started putting one and one together, we're like, dude, there's no fucking cars around here.
Yeah. But
Like
still, that
shit.
doesn't explain, because you said the lights were on, and then it also doesn't explain, the fact that someone read your order back.
Yeah, somebody took an order, and somebody read the order back, and it even came up on the screen.
The ghost of McDonald's past.
I'm pretty sure somebody said like apparently somebody got killed there, like like two employees or something got
Then they
shot in
just
there
get
like a long
stuck
time ago.
taking orders,
I guess so, like
eating
that energy
McRibs.
or something. And if you don't believe me, dude, ask Juan. Just a random day, text Juan or whatever, and he'll tell you the same story word by word. And that
Dude,
was like, we weren't creeped out at first. It wasn't until like we were in the drive-through
right.
trying to get our food at like 1:30 in the morning, and after like waiting 5 or 6 minutes, we're like, wait, this isn't adding up. And then we
No.
realize the situation, and then we're like, yeah, we need to get the fuck out of here. I think we end up going to we drove to like a Safeway in Midtown because it was open 24 hours. So we're
Yeah.
like, fuck this, we're not gonna hit up drive through. We're just gonna get like
Well,
food
that's the
for
one
like
on
junk
First
food for
Street,
like a
right? Or
week.
whatever. Or Second Street.
On No, the one is
Oh, Midtown's the
Midtown
one
is
on
the one because
by
they closed that
Meridian,
one.
right?
They closed. Yeah, it's the Meridian one. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, they
Meridian and
did
San
close that
Carlos
one?
or something. Yeah,
Meridian
the
and
one
San
like that was
Carlos?
behind. Yeah, the one behind like Cinnabar or something like on First or Second Street.
Oh, you're talking
That
about the
one's
one
closing.
downtown they closed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The Midtown is the one over there by like Meridian
Mm-hmm.
and San Carlos. Yeah,
Man, you were
that
doing a
we
little
ended up
drive,
going
but
there
after
because
being creeped out, that's
we're no, it was
that's
like
creepy.
we're like fuck this. We're just gonna get a bunch of like cereal and milk and like shit that we can just munch on for like a week because this is fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I still do not like to go to McDonald's.
To that
Like
one?
I see on McDonald's, yeah, that one. I
Yeah.
don't like going to it.
Yeah,
I
that's
know they
weird.
remodel it and everything, but I will not go into
Yeah,
that
you
one.
can slap paint on it. It's still going to be the same old creepy building.
The energy is
Yeah.
still there, bro. The energy is still there.
Oof. That was a really good couple stories because I didn't even know we were going to get those. But man, those were juicy.
Man, dude, and like, you don't have to believe me if you don't, but that's my reality. That's my
No,
perspective.
I
That's
do.
what happened.
That's why it's creepy because it seems believable. It's like it's out there,
Yeah,
but a lot of this stuff is it's just part of what makes it super creepy. Um,
yeah.
well, I'm thinking we're gonna let's see. We are at yeah. I think it's ready for our Lone Star reviews.
Let's do it.
So I'm probably gonna chop that in 53 minutes. Um, yeah. So do you want to start it off?
Yeah, let me pull up my review first, which seems to be taking sweet time. I don't know about. Oh, here it is. All right, and we're looking at a book here. It is called "She Comes First: The Thinking Man Guide to Pleasuring a Woman." This is a paperback edition,
There you go.
released on February 1st, 2009. So,
Mm.
if you ever wanted a book about pleasing the female, because the female comes first. And let's read a review. This one comes from JE12. Okay. It says limited understanding of women's sexuality. And this hate was sent on August 21st, 2019. This author annoys me. We gave the book away to a used bookstore. His whole premise is that to please a woman, you must perfect your oral skill. Sexuality is a very thing. Some women dig oral, some do not. Let me go ahead and stop you right there, very quickly. Yes, I think that is true. But at the same time, I feel like women who don't like it is because they're not doing it right. Like
Yeah,
Coop, you and I,
potentially.
we're grown people. We can admit that we enjoy oral sex,
But I feel
and
like
it's not
most guys,
like
I think it's a more widely, I think most more guys probably, I don't, let's put it this way. I could see a woman saying that they don't enjoy it. I don't know any guy, most men that would admit that. So I kind of, that's probably what you were
mm,
kind of going to say, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, that sounds fair.
I'm not
All
going
right,
to
let me
say
let me finish
no.
this up. Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay. Some achieve orgasm through oral, others prefer penetration.
Hmm.
I appreciate his commitment to pressuring women, but he should explain his horizons a bit. Women and men are not and should not be one trick ponies. Different strokes for different folks. I prefer the book "Come as You Are," great Nirvana song also. I found it to be a lot more helpful. My man has
How many fucking sex books is
sexual
this guy?
issues.
Yeah, clearly.
How long have you been trying to please your significant other and been failed? It has to come to a point where you have to say to yourself, is it really the book or is it me?
Yeah, like, are
Because my
these.
man, if I'm sorry, if you're not getting sex, you're not getting sex, and there's nothing wrong with that, bro. There's nothing wrong with that. There's definitely more ways to please and fulfill your partner, and it doesn't even have to be sexual. You
Yeah.
know, go to a farmer. Look at Coop. Coop gets his free fun every Saturday and Sunday. He goes to the farmer's market.
It is fun, but it's definitely an older person thing.
There you go. Yeah,
I see a lot of
yeah.
older folks, but I'm okay with that. You know, they're in a happy place with their
We're up there.
lives.
Yeah, I like
But
buying flowers and berries at farmers markets.
oh, dude, I love finding hot sauce and random cuts of meat. There's always a butcher.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. There's a butcher at the Tracy one, so I can get like
Mm.
ribeyes and shit, which is kind of dope. But dude, like, so this book is a Kama Sutra book, or no, this is not Kama Sutra. This is She Comes First, written by a man, which also was funny to me. This is
Yeah.
a self, not self. It seems like a male help book for female, for lovemaking with a female, with written by a male. So there's just, it almost makes you want to humor the 1-star reviews a little more. Because you're like, who's
Mm.
this dude? Like, where's your credentials, dude?
Yeah.
Like, Lemmy slept. I watched the Lemmy documentary like years ago, but I was rewatching it, and they're like, "Is it true you slept with 2,000 women?" And he's all, "No, it's 1,000." It's like, dude, that's still a fucking disgusting amount.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, and it's just
You know
funny
what's
because he's
great
like,
about
"No,
that series though?
huh?
Something I love that series. I love that like he's in his fan room or he's in the room with everything that his fans have ever given him, like dolls
Oh
and
yeah, like
presents,
his all his
and they ask
memorabilia."
the
Jeez, there we go.
yeah, and somebody asked him like, "What's the proudest thing, or what's the most important thing you have in this room? Or what in this room means the most to you?"
Hmm.
And he doesn't even think about it that much. He kind of just like, "Oh, my son, who's right there," and the son was caught off by surprise. The son was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, he never has said that in my life," and just for him to like not even like think about it, meaning that he renewed this his whole life,
yeah,
but saying like in a room full of like everything that has like a lot things that he achieved with
right.
his with his talent, his proudest thing is his son.
I mean,
And I'm
that's,
like,
if
that's
you're a good parent,
fucking
that's a good
Lemmy.
thing to say.
Yeah.
I know, man,
And
and
the
he.
son was even like started crying and shit.
I mean, it's pretty cool. Lemmy, even
Yeah.
if he's your dad, it's still pretty cool. You're like, dang, that's pretty
Yeah.
sick. That's, I mean, it's just funny.
His
Like,
flaws and everything.
some of these reviews, though, I feel like, you know what? With this one, even, and also the guy reviewing it sounded like he's trying to pretend like he knows a lot, but it sounds like he doesn't know shit.
I mean, if you already know enough about sex, why are you reading like beginner sex books then?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you go take a class with like Sting or something
Sting? The
and learn how to
singer?
have sex for like, yeah, because
Oh, he does like
Sing
tantric.
a ring. Yeah, he's like apparently, according to articles, this man can have sex for like 18 or 12 hours
Oh, have you seen American Pie?
without reaching. Is that what?
So he's like,
Is
what's
that
his
what they
name?
talk about?
Paul
Also,
Finch.
did you bring it up?
Well, yeah, in the
Oh yeah,
second one, he talks about how it's tantric or whatever, and he was like hasn't. I don't know. It's weird. He like practices how to last longer or whatever through that. It's
yeah.
American
Without
Pie. I don't know how
like,
factually accurate that is.
in this part two, actually, when
It
they're all in the
is.
beach house.
Well, I wanted to. I'll
Pretty
step in
serious.
and do one. It looks like mine's kind of in the similar realm here. Mine is the complete
Mm-hmm.
illustrated Kama Sutra by Lance Stain.
Ooh,
Once again, another man. How come women aren't
yeah.
doing these books, dude? Like, for supposedly being experts on the craft, where are your books? Or am I
I
looking in the wrong
mean,
places?
maybe. I mean, if I remember, I went to see an educator speak, and he's saying, "Oh, all these schools are so proud that their students are going to like Berkeley and Stanford and
Yeah,
LA, UCLA." He's all respectful. It's a huge achievement, but how come they still have students read like the textbook put out by like publishers instead of like UCLA professors, UC Berkeley professors, Stanford professors? Like, don't you think students will benefit more from reading
right.
articles that they might have, teachers with? And so it's kind of the same thing. Like, okay, why would it take a perspective if I'm trying to be better at this skill? Why would it take the perspective from a male? If the goal is to please a female,
Shouldn't it be a
why don't you
female
just talk to you? Why don't you just talk to your
telling
wife
us?
and be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah,
I suck in bed. What can I do to
that's
what
true.
help me help you?
Because a woman is going to be happy with the honesty,
Yeah.
and you're showing that you want to do more and you want to be better, and women like that.
You
Goals.
acknowledge that you're wrong. You acknowledge your mistake and you want to be better.
Yeah, and don't do it all the time because then they get really comfortable with it, and then they develop expectations, and that's dangerous.
Yeah. We don't want that.
We do not want that. They can't have
We
all the
don't want
power. Come on, we got to be smart.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely not.
absolutely not. So, oh yeah, the one I was gonna do was the complete illustrated Kama Sutra. As you can tell, we found some very selective. Now, I want to bring something up here. I've been looking up these Lone Star reviews for a while, and typically when they have the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 1, and it shows the percentages of how many of what. Usually, 1-star reviews make up roughly between 0 to 4%. Well,
Yeah.
in this case, 8%. That's a pretty high number. So I'm looking forward to the
That
amounts of
is.
unhappy people with the illustrated Kama Sutra. These are pictures now. So if people have trouble with pictures, this seem like they might be kind of nuts. So this is T from a Long Island. Gave 1 star, titled the subject "The Most Infamous Sex Book." Why even give it that title if you gave it a 1 star? And then it says
Yeah.
the illustrations leave a great deal to be desired by this Westerner. All right, that's all he wrote. This guy's name is Rod.
Yes.
That's kind
Okay.
of funny. Not at all what it makes itself out to be. Really? An illustrated book of the Kama Sutra, and you're telling me that's not what it is? This misrepresents itself as an illustration of the Kama Sutra positions, but in fact, it's a demonic nightmare depicting women with male parts. This is a very specific niche market, and the seller should be forthright about its buyers. It's an overstuffed tome of low-quality photos of artifacts and 5% Kama Sutra illustrations. How do you know so much about the Kama Sutra, yet you're buying like a bootleg version of it? These people are so
Yeah.
odd. It's just the funniest thing. How quirky have these reviews been worded so far? The first guy refers to himself as a Westerner. The second one is this
Mhm.
person just talking complete nonsense about how, it's basically about chicks with dicks. Where does it even allude to that? So if he's correct,
Yeah.
then I guess he has a point with his review. Um, don't waste your time or money from 7 Generation Bay. Terrible, basic. Don't waste your money. Um. Okay, this one's good. Charles. What? I'm not gonna read his whole name. If you're looking to learn how to please, then this is not the book. If you want to learn a religion about sex, then this might be the right book. Not what I expected it to be. Oh, God. Okay, I got 2 more because these ones are really good. So this next one is from Ramonda, who put her whole name, middle included. Apparently it's a dude. Did not make my girlfriend horny at all as a subject. And then did not make my girlfriend horny at all was the title. And then one person found that helpful. I liked this one. This one said, mine was missing pages 14 to 134. That's 20 pages. Like, why is your book missing 14 to 20? I don't know. That's hilarious. I want to know what pages those are because I got a funny feeling that guy wasn't willing to do those positions with his girl, and he just said they weren't in there. You know what I mean?
Oh, they must have skipped that part, babe.
Oh, it was probably a reach around with the strap on, and then he's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Got this to spice up my marriage. It talks about how to lure other people's spouses. Oh, yeah. This is hilarious. This is just an illustrated Kama Sutra. Like, how does it become so much more? This is amazing. So I'm happy.
Reading a lot into it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really, in depth. It's fun to think about what the hell people are thinking when they write these, because man, it's kind of out there. Mm-hmm. Did you have another one? Or are you good? Because I think
there's a guy. No, I was reading them all, and they'll pretty much just say like it. My book's based around eating, just practicing on your oral sex skills.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's one guy over here. He's saying nothing. Nothing groundbreaking. Pretty standard stuff. Wouldn't recommend. I'm like, well,
yeah. What's standard?
Yeah, like
just licking,
bro. If you're having a hard, again, just save yourself the fucking $20 from the book and just ask your partner, what does she like?
Yeah,
or what she likes. I don't know. Like, I think they would appreciate that more. I like this one also. Somebody wrote, fuck, I just lost it. He said, too overwhelming, didn't understand, couldn't execute properly. Will reread again and take better notes. There you go.
I think implementation was your problem, not your note taking.
Yeah. So why is that a 1-star review if you didn't understand what you're reading?
Yeah, that was faulty equipment.
Yeah, that's on you, bro.
No, the blueprint wasn't right, man. Yeah, the drill still isn't working though either. So
yeah,
that's your fault.
So whose fault is it? The person who didn't know how to who didn't understand the situation. It goes back. And it goes back to the just to wrap everything up. It goes back to the premise of this podcast. Just communicate.
Yeah.
Whatever's holding you back, whatever's weighting you down, whatever's stressing you out, just talk to a person you trust.
Yeah.
If it's your significant other, it might be a friend or a family member, there's 1-800 hotlines for it. Just talk it out. Talk about what's stressing you out. And then, from there, maybe it'll go up. Maybe homies were all like super stressed out for doing figure 8 fucking sex positions and they couldn't execute because they're so like anxious. Like,
yeah.
You know what? Just talk it out, Don't
try
to copy your favorite porn.
No. Not before stretching.
No, yeah.
And don't eat.
Talk it out.
Don't eat a large meal before. You almost got to treat this like swimming. This is a lot of cardio.
A lot of water. Yeah, a lot of water.
I'm losing a lot of water weight. I sweat a lot. I almost
Mm.
feel like the front. It's just not fun. Who wants to be sweat on? It's not. It's not.
Um,
You probably feel
shower.
like a refugee.
Shower before and after.
Nah, dude, because
And
you're.
not
Well, no, I get that because I'll be clean. But here's the thing: even I still sweat. I just sweat a lot. And what's funny is sometimes
no.
in the summer I'll sweat right after while I'm out of the shower. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
But at least you're cleaner.
Right? No. I mean,
So
I totally. You got to be
yeah,
clean.
yeah.
You can't expect the girl
Yeah.
to go down the devil's driveway, without a nice, clean,
Yeah,
paved
no,
way to get through it.
No, you need to
Because right now, I
show
mean,
some
it's
respect.
starting to look like Benghazi down there, dude. I'm getting kind of nervous.
Yeah.
Planning some secret missions to clean that up. Hide some emails. I'm just kidding. But yeah.
Hide some emails.
Yeah, that was my Benghazi joke. We're the kids of America. Woo.
Whoa. That will come up again like in a couple of years.
What,
Once
the
you
kids
start
of
ringing-
America?
No, the email Benghazi comment.
Oh,
The
it's
emails
never
will come
gonna
up.
go away, and she's never gonna
Yeah.
admit to that. It'll happen, but it's never gonna get. Nothing's gonna happen.
Of course.
Just like Edward Snowden isn't gonna get pardoned. I was hoping Trump would pardon him. But that's a
I was
tough one.
really
I don't
hoping-
think anyone's gonna pardon that guy.
I was really hoping he was going to pardon Tiger King.
Oh yeah, well, I was too. I really would have been happy. I feel like a lot of people would have been mad, but I'm not. Carol
I wouldn't be
Baskins
mad.
deserves to be in there.
4 years of Trump's presidency and me not agreeing with like 80% of his politics.
Yeah.
I probably would have,
Well, are you mad at him?
Like,
Are you mad at him for Lil Wayne and Kodak Black?
Yes.
You are mad at
Yes.
him?
I'm not really
I mean, aren't
mad.
they just
I'm
silly gun charges? And weren't they going to do like
Yeah.
20 years or something?
I mean, with Lil Wayne, because they found drugs and guns in his possession, even though he was a convicted felon.
Yeah.
So,
Like I'm okay with that. Cuz it's not like he robbed anybody.
no, that's
You know,
fine. Like,
And he didn't hurt
I'm okay
anyone.
with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. There's some things that Trump did do that actually was pretty like, all right, that's pretty spot on. Like he made what's the word? Like stricter laws when it came to human trafficking, especially like
Yeah.
underage trafficking. And this is not by any means like human trafficking. We're not saying like immigration or anything like that. This is
No.
strictly human trafficking for sex.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff and kidnapping. And he did some pretty strong laws for it, like maybe second year's presidency. And I'm like, not a fan of Trump, but you know what? I'm a fan
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah, me too.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I think,
I'm okay with that.
that's a pretty, and that's the thing too, is like with politicians is it's always about shitting on Republicans or Democrats, but that's
Yeah.
cool because you kind of, it's like you always got to kind of look for the truth and
Yeah.
also, even like you said, you're like, it's not even about whether you like him or dislike him. It's about the fact that you understand and what's happening. And that's what I like, because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are allow their bias to even not allow them to accept facts, which is very troubling. I feel when people are so what's the word, like allegiant to or like loyal to some of these views that to the point where they won't even accept truths
The
that
party,
go
if you
against
will.
what they're saying. It's like, you still got to be fair about what you're assessing.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean, like, same thing here, like I get sick of people bashing one thing all the time, but that's also why I'm like not really going out of my way to bash Biden. I mean, I don't really need to get on a big old thing on that, but basically what I'm saying is regardless of how I feel about the guy, does it do me any good to be focusing all my energy on negativity towards what he's doing? And is that directly affecting me? So that's kind of what I remind myself is like, just because people bitch or just because they think this guy's cool and you don't, doesn't necessarily mean you have to like argue about it, or make your point be proven.
Mm-hmm.
It's more or less like I just want to have an opinion and not be hated for it. That's the only thing I feel. Like I don't need people to
Yeah.
agree with me. It'd be cool. It'd be cool for people to understand. But I'm just learning. And kind of like as you got older, and like what you said earlier, care less about what people think, and not in a way that means you can be mean to them, but in a way where it means that you can be true to yourself. Because that's if we can't be true to ourselves, we can't be real and have good relationship with others, and so I'm pretty. That's definitely part of the goal. Even now, not just the 16-year-old me. That's kind of the thing too. I think
Mm-hmm.
what that is that letter to ourselves is kind of a reminder of like what we're doing right and what we're not so happy about in our lives, which I think is an important thing to revisit every so often.
Mm-hmm.
Because those things change. Who knows? In 6 months, we might be wanting to do something different. Not than this, but other your changes and things evolve and opportunities come. So we'll see. But I definitely accountability has been a one thing that we've been really good about during this most of this podcast is with ourselves. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I
True.
think communication and accountability are the two things we've really worked on and noticed is are pretty big staples to any good relationship.
And just in not just a good relationship, but um a good relationship with yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because like you said, if you can't, you start. It's got to start there. So
You have to be honest with yourself, and then from there, it grows. It grows from there. Absolutely.
hell yeah. Well, we're gonna keep growing, and I'm growing wide.
We all
I'm growing out, not growing up.
know, but definitely growing in the belly wise,
Yeah,
in our belly. Yeah, definitely doing that.
belt loops are getting a little tight. Um,
Oh yeah.
maybe I should have took. Maybe I should have done. What was it? What was this stupid dry January that everyone's doing that I'm not doing at all?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna do that, but I know
Well, I
exactly
mean,
what
we
you mean.
can't, it's 2 days until left of
It's too late for
January.
that.
We went 29 days not doing it. I didn't drink every day this month, but I definitely had a few. But you know what, dude? That's not a real thing. I mean, it
Yeah.
is. The people that did it, good for them. I really mean that. Because you set a
No, and
goal
and
and you
that
did it, you know?
yeah, yeah. And with something so like with what dry January, is something that for us it's kind of hard. We enjoy a beer too, so it's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of like willpower.
Yeah, and like, what the hell else is there to do in January? It's cold. It's my birthday month. Are you trying to tell me
Yeah,
I'm not going to drink on my birthday? I don't even know if I did. I think I had a beer.
what is this? What's this communist America we're living in?
Shit. I
Where
mean,
you can't even have a beer on your birthday.
I know, dude. Like, you know what, though? I did. I had a beer. I should have had 12.
If you cannot drink on your own birthday, then the terrorists have won.
Uh, I agree
Remember
100%.
that saying?
Huh?
Remember that saying from
The
back in the
terrorists
days?
have
Like,
won.
if you can do this,
Isn't
then
that
I guess
George
the
Bush?
terrorists did win. Yeah, I think it was.
He had some good speeches back in the day.
He had hell of a freaking. I like to have a beer, and I mentioned this before. I would love to have a beer with that guy.
Yeah. He definitely seems a lot more fun than yeah, Biden's not very fun seeming. He seems kind of
He
boring.
is.
He seems like he goes to
He
bed
doesn't
at
look
7 o'clock.
Obama looks like he'll be a fun person, but at the same time, he looks like he's not allowed to be outside like past 9.
Obama?
Yeah,
Oh, you think he's
I
whipped?
feel like I feel like Michelle
Cracks that?
cracks that.
Yeah. You know what? I could see it.
I can see that because he's like, he's
She's taller than him too, from what I remember.
yeah,
She probably carries him to bed,
just Brock.
tucks him
It's
in.
9:30. What are you doing? It's 9:30, Brock. Get your ass inside bed already.
She's like, "Come
You
on."
know it's way past your bedtime. Come on, Michelle.
She's like
Oh, oh, I
burping him.
can do no bomb. Yeah, I can see that. George W. Bush, he looks like he doesn't give a fuck. So
Yeah.
he'll be up until like 1 or 2, and you're
Just
front
doing,
porch
just
drinking
snorting
like
lines, jumping around.
maybe those days are over, but definitely like
I,
having a little 6 or 12 pack, but
I like,
like
I like to think those days aren't
Blizzard,
over, Danny.
or maybe pop a pill here and there, a little muscle relaxer here and there,
Take a
ease out the
Viagra.
pain.
He
Yeah.
takes a Blue Chew.
Now Bill looks like he'll be a great guy to hang out with. Also, Bill Clinton.
Bill also looks like the guy that would
But
get you in a lineup.
yeah.
Where were you? Oh,
Oh
you were
yeah.
hanging out with him last night? Yeah, that's not a good alibi. So now you're going to be brought in for questioning.
So you were there.
Yeah,
Okay. It's kind of like my
exactly.
cousin Benny, where
Yeah.
like he says something, he's like, oh, and he just takes out the pen and starts taking notes. Like, oh, really? So yeah, Bill, it looks like Bill can only go out once a month. And when he goes out once a month, like all hell breaks loose. Like the boys are back in town, kind of
Property
thing.
damage goes up for downtown.
Oh, oh God.
You just see a
Yeah.
saxophone stuck
Jim,
in some guy's butt.
granted, Jimmy Carter's freaking old as fuck, so he doesn't probably count. But Jimmy Carter looks like
Jimmy
also
Carter did
boring.
not look like the kind of fucking party animal. Jimmy Carter was a peanut farmer.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter was always a pretty, even in his heyday, he just looked like
I'm not impressed.
yeah.
I'm not overly impressed. He looks like a square.
Yeah, even and he's a great guy. He's a great guy. But 96, I'm not gonna hang out with him anymore. Not because I don't like him. It's just you need to go sleep, Grandpa. I'll have breakfast with him.
Might be the last breakfast you have with him.
Yeah, hey. Not a lot of people can say I had breakfast with Jimmy Carter.
I don't know if I want to though. If I could, I mean, like, I guess if they were like throwing it out there, but he's pretty low on my totem pole of breakfast people.
Yeah.
I imagine he's
Yeah.
low on yours as well. I think you're just paying him a
Yeah,
compliment.
no. Like I think first off, if I can make it happen, it'll be George W. Bush and have like share like a 12 pack and like in this porch and just listen to him and his fucking college stories. That's number
Holy
one.
shit, that does
That's like
sound
a
fun.
bucket list.
Yeah.
That's like a bucket list. Just like,
He's like, hey.
it's just there's one time,
Yeah.
and you'll probably look around see if the miss is like,
Oh,
all right, it's
Laura.
one
All
time.
right, she's gone.
Laura's not here. Okay, so it's one time, and he's like dying to tell you.
It's like one
And
time,
you're like,
me
"You
and my
son of a
brother
bitch."
Jeb, we were putting this girl through the Eiffel Tower, if you know what I mean.
Have you ever? We told this girl, "Have you ever been to France?" It just
Hey.
it sounds amazing. He
He's
sounds
like
great.
Beavis and
I want to
Butthead.
hear
I like how we probably do the worst George W. Bush impressions, but they entertain us.
and that's all that
And
matters.
I like how he's just basically a snickering idiot when we do it.
Yeah, because he's like a childish. He looks like he's still like a childish person. He laughs at his own jokes.
Playing pranks.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that son of a bitch. Let's go get him. Yeah, let's go get the son of a bitch.
I just tweeted a picture of Laura Bush taking a dump in the White House.
He's
He's like, you're not the first lady this time.
Yeah, but he was like, it's one of my burner accounts.
Yeah.
Like
I
shit
blame
that
it on
no-
ISIS.
Yeah, he shouldn't be telling shit that he shouldn't be saying. He's like spilling all the beans. I was gonna use the atomic bomb once, but I couldn't figure out if the last number was a 4 or an 8, so I put the wrong one.
So I got two of them, and I launched both.
Yeah.
We'll see what
And,
happens.
I had to call it out after a minute because I was just hammered. Him breakfast Barack. Okay, so
Breakfast Barack like he's fucking a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
Breakfast
I have
Barack.
breakfast with Barack Obama.
Oh,
You know, some mimosas. I can see him like in the He enjoys like a pancake sausage and like coffee in the morning.
yeah.
He's also a smoker. I'm not sure if he's still a smoker, but I know he was a smoker
Like
also.
pot?
Pot,
Or you
but
mean
mostly
just like
cigarettes.
tobacco?
Cigarettes was rage. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Bill.
mean,
I don't.
everyone
I don't
smokes
think I want
weed
to party
now.
with.
It's not even that crazy.
I don't think I want to party with Bill, but
No, I don't.
George George W. Bush. I mean, the man said, if he's so smart and created the internet, how come all the website starts with www?
If,
That's
did he really
can't
say
make this
that?
shit up. He said
Because
that.
I feel like that really does make me like him more than Al Gore for sure.
Yeah, no, is amazing.
Because he
Like,
knows that's not true, but he
yeah,
also just is kind of playing on the whole like Al Gore's ridiculous, which is
yeah,
is hilarious. Because if anyone probably got the point of what he was making was, I think he was just trying to outshit him. Because Al Gore was like,
yeah.
I created the internet, blah blah blah, and then fucking George Bush was like, okay, well, how can I outdo what he said? Oh, I know, I could say something ridiculous because the Gore thing is ridiculous, but then he's literally like, yeah, I just how can you out ridiculous that? And he did, and it was pretty good.
Oh,
Also,
dude,
he did it in a funny way. Gore, I think, really meant like, I don't know, That's nuts.
oh man, it's just
I could
this
say I
man was
invented
just.
stuff too. I mean,
Oh man,
he probably did win that election though. Gore, who knows?
yeah,
That
he
was
did.
some election fraud in Florida, and I mean, wasn't Jeb Bush the governor too?
Yeah, his brother was
There's
there,
so much
so
funny shit. Like, that's what makes me laugh. It's like there's been election fraud for as long as I can remember.
yeah, it's nothing new.
Not at all. Like, we need to fix it, but we also need to just realize that our system's completely flawed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have O.J. Simpson giving his
Yeah.
own thing about the. Oh God.
Talking about how unfair it is that Tom Brady is gonna go to another Super Bowl. I'm like, you got away with murder. You don't need to talk
Yeah.
about what's fair. You literally got the most fair fucking, I don't know.
Just sit down, Bush.
I swear. Yeah.
That's all I can say about that. Just sit. No, I'm sorry, not Bush.
Yeah.
Sit down, OJ.
OJ, I was like, Bush.
No.
Did he grow it out? He is on the golf course a lot.
W or
No, OJ.
OJ. Oh yeah.
That's
All his
yeah.
YouTube videos are in there.
It's
But
ridiculous.
that's a completely different podcast.
It is. And we did a little crossover, and if you listen to both, you'll notice. And if you don't, then be better. Be a better friend. Be a better listener. Check out our podcast. If you don't do that, well, then what's the point? Why don't? What are we? Why are we here? You think me and Danny are here just for the money, just for the bitches? No, we're not.
No,
That's not why we're here.
that's not, because that is far from what's happening right now.
Yeah. Not only is it far from what's happening, but we have morals.
Yeah.
And it's more the first thing than the second thing, but we have morals, okay? And we're working on them.
They're regrowing a little by little.
I didn't say how many we had. I just said we had some.
The number's low.
We're gonna get that count up. It's part of our thing. We're not doing a dry January, but we're working on ourselves.
And that's most important than anything.
Exactly. Because it all trickles down from there. Just like this is trickling down into the end of the episode. And by the time my hands reach the bottom, it's all gone. But yeah, no. Thanks for chilling, guys. This was a little of a shorter one, as you can tell by the way we're looking. Probably not by the way we're sounding, but the way we're looking. We are pretty beat, folks. And
we're ready.
Danny's done grading papers. I'm ready to hit the pillow after I hit the bong, and probably watch some Stephen King stuff. I've been downloaded some old miniseries, and I've been watching Storm of the Century.
Ooh,
do you remember that one?
I'll probably watch some Misery. I feel like watching.
Ooh,
Misery
I want to watch that one too.
I
God,
don't think
James Caan and Kathy Bates. That's a good one.
Oh, it's just fucking crazy.
That's such a
Crazy lady.
scary. That's such a scary one too. That and Pet Cemetery are two of the old scary ones for me.
Yeah, that's another one I probably end up watching.
Oh, neither are feel goods.
No, far from it.
That's the thing about Stephen King. He gives you such a bad taste, but it's so addicting.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Storm of the Century, it's the same kind of idea. Like this demon comes to this town and basically says, "I'll leave and stop killing you if you give me all your children." It's like, Jesus. It's like, how do you, God, it's so good. Come up with all this shit that he comes up with.
Hell yeah.
But
I'll see if it's on Netflix or something or
Misery,
Amazon. Catch it right now. No, Storm of a Century. Well, that one
um,
sounds good. I haven't seen it.
let me do it. Yeah. I think we're going to end this week. So you guys should check out Storm of the Century as well and check us out. We're keeping things going and we're keeping it real. So email us as well at tfthpod@gmail.com. One Lone Star Reviews is obviously something that can be, feel free, guys. If you see anything that really sparks your fancy, with these things, I think that's important. So we'll see you guys next week. Take care.